What's happening, people? And once again, welcome back to youtube.com/CubCamTV for this, another edition of the Cubcast, our daily section that we bring you on the channel, looking at different news segments, stories, and kind of different activities we can do in regards to content surrounding the genres we cover. And obviously, there's been some huge albums released in the world of Afrobeats music recently, and I'm very excited to actually get into today's discussion because we're going to be getting into another tier list. We are going to be ranking, as you can probably see from the title of the video, the individual tracks off of Burna Boy's Love Damini album. Now, I did want to do this nearer the time, but we did a lot of content on this album, and I actually wanted to give the album a little bit of time to sit, a little bit of time to stew, and also to kind of see that global reaction to the album fully take place. We did the, obviously, the Billboard review earlier on today, where we look at all the different tracks of an international appeal to America individually, and where a lot of those tracks off Love Damini are now sitting in the Billboard chart. It shows that this album is one of the most dominant releases in regards to Afrobeats that we've seen in a long period of time. So I thought today would be a good day for us to actually get into this tier list that we've put together. We're going to be ranking each individual track on there between banger, solid, good, and filler. Now, there are very few filler tunes on this album, as you can probably tell. I actually very much enjoy the album start to finish. It's one of the few 19-track albums that I reckon I could listen to start to finish every time, and it's a crazy achievement. But we are going to get into this. I have made notes on this as well, on my thoughts, on how the tracks sound. I listened through the album start to finish last night and again this morning just to make sure I've got my notes all down. So if you see me reading off the screen, that's why. But I'm very excited to get into this. So let's have a little look at the chart that we've got here. It's looking very exciting indeed. We are going to start off then with a very important tune, which is, of course, the introduction. Now, the introduction of this album is an interesting one. Which is, of course, Glory. For me, I think this is a beautiful introduction. It's filled with emotion. It's a introduction that does let you know the sort of direction the album's going to be going in. This, as an album, is a combination of international appeal and emotional development from Burna Boy. So I think as an introductory song, Glory does a fantastic job. And obviously, Ladysmith Black Mamzada has been crazy, both on the introduction and the outro of this album. So I'm going to put it into solid to begin with. You can tell that this album has a very high standard. So that's what everything's going to be judged on. If I kind of put something down, it's not necessarily because I think it's a bad tune or anything along those lines. It's purely because I think that in comparison to the rest of the album, it maybe could have been stronger, just so you're aware. I'm not trying to slate this album at all. It's probably one of my favorite albums of the year. So coming up next, then, we have Science. For me, Science is a solid addition. Again, we're going to put it in just above Glory, actually. Again, this one, the standard's high across this whole album, as I said. There's beautiful drum work, and Burna is really flexing his clear vocal ability on this one. It's a real groove. The anybody type vocal displays we hear on this as well, that kind of those sort of vocals there, they remind me of Anybody, and Anybody's probably still my favorite Burna Boy tune. So that to me instantaneously makes me like this one. Really, really cool vocals throughout. Moving on to the next one then. I don't want to spend too much time talking about each individual track, as we have done breakdowns on the majority of tracks from this album already. So do go and check out all the reactions, and of course the Reactors Roundtable podcast where we discuss this album in full. Cloak and Dagger is next on the list. Now, Cloak and Dagger, for me, goes straight into a banger. Obviously, it's got J Hus on it. The combination of Burna Boy's vocals with J Hus's verse, which is cold, is spectacular. Also, Burna's hook on this is so catchy. That, and I move like Cloak and Dagger. And he utilizes the pockets of the rhythm so cleanly. This is such a cool way of bringing this collaboration back to life. We've seen them collaborate on a J Hus project before, but this time Hus was in Burna Boy's world, and it really did work. Moving forward, then, we're going to get into Kilometer, and again, Kilometer does have to go straight into banger. Now, for me, I always kind of lose, I don't want to say interest, but I feel tracks lose impact when they're released so long before an album actually drops. And I feel this one may have dropped down for a few people, but for me, it's undoubtedly one of the strongest tracks to drop in the last few years. Run it in the dance and see what happens. I've been in dances where this is run and people lose their mind to it. So it still clearly has that impact that you'd want a track like this to have. Coming up next on the list, we have Juggale. Now, this one for me is going to go into good. I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this one. It just doesn't get going as much as I feel it could have done. There are good elements, Burna with a clean vocal, but when you look around the quality of the high points of this album, you do have to be realistic. Not everything can go into banger or solid. For me, this is the first time it drops below a solid 5 tracks in. Moving forward, then, we are going to get into another track which falls into the same bracket, which is Whiskey. And again, Whiskey is nice, but it doesn't have that star power. I feel on this album, it's a showcase of Burna Boy's star power, his ability to really be at the top of the tree. And I think Whiskey is a track that if it was released as a single, it may well have actually had more impact, but when you're comparing it to tracks like Cloak and Dagger, like Kilometer, and others we are going to be putting into those top tier brackets, I think it just falls a little flat, and I think people may well agree with me on this one. Whiskey is a tune that I haven't seen people talking about as much, but this track is definitely a track that has people talking, and that is, of course, Last. Undoubtedly one of the biggest tunes of the year. We did the Billboard review earlier, as I said, and this is currently still #1. It's the longest running ever #1 to be consistently #1 in that US Afrobeats Billboard chart, so it's clearly a big banger. Again, this ran in a dance a few weeks, well, this weekend that I was in. People lost their minds. This tune is so impactful. It's had that international appeal, and it clearly has been a tune that people have absolutely loved listening to internationally, so it can't not be in the banger category with all of those things considered. Moving forward then, different size. Now, for me, different size is going to go into the top of good. I'm a massive Victony fan. I love Victony's sound. I love what he does with his vocals. I love how creative he gets. But for me, this one could have been more impactful. I don't think it really had that combination flair that I was hoping to see. It's good, don't get me wrong. And if I heard it, I'd enjoy it. But I feel it could have been so much better. And I can't ignore that when doing rankings. So it's going to go into the top of good. Not quite solid, but good. Definitely a tune that belongs on the album. Don't get me wrong. Then moving into the next track, we have It's Plenty. Now, I know for a lot of people, It's Plenty is going to be one of the tracks that goes into banger. For me, it's solid. This one clearly has the international appeal. It has that David Guetta melody in there, which obviously it's really, really feel good, and we can see this one's going to be around for a long time. Does it reach the heights of Kilometer, Cloak and Dagger, and Last? For me, no, it doesn't. I know I'm probably in a minority when breaking this one down, but there we go. That's what these lists are about. I want everyone, by the way, to leave their listing I want to hear everyone's listings themselves. I want people to leave their comments down below, but also I'll leave a link to this tier maker, which I've put together, in the description. You can send them to me on Twitter. I'm keen to hear where you put your tracks at CubKXVU. All my socials are in the description down below as well, so there we go. Moving forward then, we are going to get into what's next on the list. We have got Dirty Secrets. Now, this one for me, believe it or not, it's the first track that goes into filler. This one for me just falls flat. It feels fillerish in a way. It doesn't really hit the sonic heights of the rest of the project, and it just doesn't feel like, even in the recording process, it had the same level of emphasis. It feels slightly flat production-wise compared to the other tracks, and this is the first time on the album I kind of went, I don't necessarily think this is as good as anything else that we've heard. So for me, it's going into filler. I know people may well disagree. Again, this isn't meant to slate the album. It's mainly trying to showcase the level, the standard level of this project is so high. If someone else came out with Dirty Secrets, it'd probably be a banger, but Burna Boy has to be held to his own standards, and his own standards are so high. Tony and Sing with Popcorn next. Now, obviously, this one, banger, no doubt about it. For me, second best track on the album. Absolutely love this, love what Popcorn does on it. Again, run it in a dance. Just see what happens if you run this one in a dance. See the emotion that people show. See the movement that people kind of exude. See just how it makes people feel in a live environment, and that is why it's so high up on this listing. It's a tune made for the dance, and it succeeds in the dance. And for me, if you're making a tune for a purpose, and it succeeds in the purpose, it's a banger. So there we go. Moving forward then, there are a lot of tracks to get through on this, and I'm trying not to make this video ridiculously long because there are 19 different individual ones to get into. Now, Solid is next, and this one for me goes into good, just to be confusing. I'm going to put it behind Juggale. Again, this one is nearly in filler for me. So probably it should be at the bottom of the list then, shouldn't it? Because I've written down that it's nearly in filler. And the reason for this is because I don't think it actually makes much sense beyond the international appeal as a collaboration. It's fine. It doesn't feel as well thought through as the rest of the collaborations on the project, in my honest opinion. Like Blast and Kalani, both doing fantastic things. And I think Kalani's vocal just about saves this one for me. But overall, I don't know. It just doesn't really hit the heights that I think it should have done as a collaboration with names like this. It just feels a little bit kind of thrown together for the international appeal to kind of make sure they are hitting as many different areas as possible, which is fine, as it doesn't necessarily detract from the album, but I don't think it really adds anything either. It's just kind of there. For my hand then, Ed Sheeran next on the collaboration duty. For me, this is going into the bottom of Solid. Again, this one has the international appeal, but you can hear the synergy. These two have obviously worked together before, and you can hear that in the performance. And it's obvious in how smooth the result of the project of the combination is. For me, it doesn't really hit the heights of anything above it, and it is definitely a collaboration that still is done for that international approach. But again, I've got a lot of time for Ed Sheeran. I think he's a fantastic musician. I think he does a very good job at fitting into other people's sounds without kind of making them sound corny. I think he does a really good job of kind of sliding in and doing the right kind of thing, understanding the assignment refinement, I think, is Ed Sheeran's strong point. Moving forward, we're going to get into Roller Coaster featuring J Balvin. Now, for me, this one's going into good. Very similar scenario to the Victony collaboration for me, this one. It's another big collab. It falls slightly flat, but again, it does have dance floor appeal, and it just about makes sense. But I feel when you're bringing J Balvin onto a tune, this is one of the biggest artists in the world. I want a banger. I want a tune that you're not going to forget. And there are those cool bits like Roller Coaster. It's catchy, but it doesn't take off in the same way the tracks above it do. Vanilla. Now, this is a very interesting one. A lot of people have a lot of love for this one. I've got a lot of people who have this in their top 5. A lot of people who don't like it. It's a bit of a, it's a Marmite vanilla. The sax is overused for me slightly. I don't think it's Burna's strongest vocal appearance either lyrically or actual performance-wise. It's enjoyable, though, for sure. So for me, vanilla is going to go into good, and it's actually going to go in between Different Size and Roller Coaster. Common Person is up next. Now, for me, this one goes straight into the banger category. This is a beautiful tune. Beautifully arranged sonically. The production is absolutely exceptional, and it has also got a beautiful message in its general kind of lyricism. The conversation behind this tune is great. I feel this is Burna really getting in touch with that emotional side, which we do start to hear a little bit more towards the end of the album, which we are now getting into. There's 3 more tracks for us to discuss after this. And yeah, for me, I do enjoy this one. I definitely do enjoy this one. That's why it's in that banger category. Wild Dreams from Khaled. This is going to go into... You know what? I'm going to put it above Ed Sheeran for my hand because... Again, this has a very euphoric sense about it. The international collaboration theme is very strong across this whole project, but I do think it could have been better, but it's still solid. There's no getting away from that. I think Khaled absolutely smashes this one. I actually think this is the first time Burna doesn't keep up with his collaborator, and that the catchiness of that... I can't sing, clearly, but the appeal of that hook is it does touch your soul, and it's good to hear. So it's going into solid. How bad could it be? Now, this for me goes straight into the top of solid. The only reason I can't put it into banger is because this tune only has an application in one real place. I can't really imagine listening to this anywhere other than myself, but this is a tune I have played in low places for myself already, and it has helped. It's put me onto a better kind of mindset. It's a beautiful tune, and this is Burna Boy really kind of expressing that much more, I want to say, emotional side, and it definitely works. That's why it's going into the top of solid for me. It's a beautiful tune. The same with Common Person. They touch a similar kind of note for me, just very real in how they sound. And finally, we do have Love Damini, the title track, which is also the outro for me. This one goes into, I'm going to put this into the bottom of solid. It's a good outro, really, really nice kind of vocal work. It's actually quite masterful in regards to the vocals we hear from Burna Boy. The choral elements are great as well, and it's a nice way to sign the project out. So there we go. That is our tier list for this project. Last, Tony and Singh, Cloak and Dagger, Kilometer, and Common Person all in banger. Solid, you have How Bad Could It Be? It's Plenty, Science, Glory, Wild Dreams, For My Hand, and Love Damini. In good, we have Different Size, Vanilla, Roller Coaster, Juggale, Whiskey, and Solid with one filler track, which is Dirty Secrets. I want to hear your opinions on this album, though, guys, so do let me know in the comment section down below. And, of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you're getting involved by hitting that subscribe button at the bottom of the page, turning notifications on, leaving a like, leaving a comment, all that good stuff. As I said, I'll leave my link to this tier list in the description, so do give it a go yourself and throw me your results, screenshot it and send it over to me at CubKXVU on Twitter. I'm keen to hear all of them. I'll retweet all of them as well. And there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we shall see you all next time. See you later, and peace.
Sounding so good right now. But they're sounding a Brighton town.
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel right now, CubCamTV. Stay locked.